Hi, this is Teacher Wright and welcome to another lesson in Grammar 101. This time we are going to discuss the present perfect and past perfect tenses, particularly how to use the auxiliary verbs has, have, and had. What is the present perfect tense and when do we use it? The present perfect expresses a situation or an action that happened or did not happen sometime in the past and continues or is completed at the time of speaking, which is now. So this is represented in the illustration below. The red arrow here shows us that the action took place somewhere in the past or sometime in the past with this star here, and continues or is completed until the time of speaking with the star here at the center. The present perfect is formed by using the auxiliary verbs has or have plus the verb past participle or the verb ending with ed. Has is used for singular subjects, while have is used for plural subjects. So these are the different forms of the present perfect tense. So in statement form, we use has or have plus the past participle of the verb. So we have the examples here. Mary has written her letter. In this sentence, the subject is Mary, and it is singular. Therefore, we use the auxiliary verb has plus the past participle of the verb, written. So Mary has written her letter. Another example, I have answered my assignment. The subject is I. I is singular, but then it is also a special pronoun. The same with you. So although they are singular, but we use a plural verb for I and you because they are special pronouns. So we will discuss that in other lessons in the future. So we use here the auxiliary verb have because I is a special pronoun. So we don't use has, but we use have. I have, you have, like that. I have answered my assignment. Subject is I, auxiliary verb have plus the verb past participle answered. Another example, the students have taken the exam. In this sentence, the subject is students. We use have because the subject students is plural. The students have taken the exam. So the contraction form of the present perfect is have or has. So instead of spelling out have, so we can just add apostrophe, then VE, or for has, that's apostrophe S. For example, she's or he's taken the test. Instead of saying she has or he has taken the test, so we have the contracted form of she's or he's taken the test. Other examples for plural subjects like I've or you've, we've, they've taken the test. So we just add the contracted form of the auxiliary verbs have and has. So again, I and you are special pronouns. They are singular in form, but we use a plural verb for them. Okay, I hope you got it. Let's proceed to the next. The negative form of have and has, or the present perfect. So how do we form the negative of the present perfect? So we just add not, okay, to have and has. So for example, have or has plus not plus the verb past participle. Examples, John has not eaten breakfast. She hasn't eaten breakfast. Or I or you or they, we have not answered the test. So these are the plurals. This is with plural subjects. Or I, you, or they, or we haven't answered the test. So you can have the contracted form of the negative of the present perfect. Okay, so in question form, we have has or have plus subject plus verb past participle. For example, has John eaten breakfast? Or has she eaten breakfast? So in these examples, you have noticed, since they are questions, so the verb usually comes before the noun. Okay, so has John eaten breakfast? Has she eaten breakfast? Or plural forms or with plural subjects. Have you answered the test? How far have you walked? Okay, so in question form, the auxiliary verbs come before the noun. So for short answers, we have the following forms of the present perfect. So we have or haven't or has or hasn't. Example, question, has Mary written the letter? So answer, yes, she has, or no, she hasn't. Another example, question, have you read that book? Answer, yes, I have, or no, I haven't. So it's very easy. So we just have the contracted form of the negative, or you can spell it out. So next, when do we use the present perfect tense? We use the present perfect tense for something that occurred at an unspecified time in the past, like sometime before now. So we have the following sample sentences for this situation. Kiko has already watched that movie, meaning to say Kiko has watched it maybe a month ago, several days ago. So we don't know exactly when. It's unspecified time in the past. And the negative form, Pedro hasn't watched that movie yet. Or if it's a question, have you ever watched a movie at that theater? Okay, so this applies to situation number 1. An action that occurred at an unspecific time in the past. Situation number 2. We also use the present perfect for an action that was repeated many times at an unspecified time in the past. So we have the sample sentences for this. Jose has watched that movie several times. I have read that book thrice. And situation number 3. An action that started in the past and continues up to the time of speaking. Examples. We've been in this room since 1 o'clock this afternoon. I have grown tomatoes in a pot for 2 years. So in the first example, in the first sentence, you've been in this room like since 1 o'clock this afternoon and until now. Or for example, now is 6 p.m. So you're still in that same room. So that's in the present perfect. Or in sample number 2, I have grown tomatoes in a pot for 2 years. Or so 2 years ago you started planting, or you started growing tomatoes in a pot, and until now you still do it. So it's like a habit. So this applies also to situation number 3. The present perfect is used for action that started in the past and continues up to the time of speaking. So now let's go to the past perfect tense. So the past perfect is used to express 2 different actions or events that happened at 2 different times in the past. One event was completed before the second event took place. So we have the illustration here. So the stars, the first star is the first event and the second star represents the second event, meaning there's 2 actions in the past. The first action was completed before another action took place. So that's the past perfect tense. So how do we form the past perfect tense. So we use the auxiliary verb had plus the verb past participle, which is the verb ending with ed for regular verbs or verb en for irregular verbs. So had can be used for both singular and plural subjects. So what situations do we use the past perfect tense? So for example, the teacher left the room at 1 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So the students arrived in the classroom at 1:30 in the afternoon. So when the students arrived, the teacher was no longer there. She had left. So there are two actions in this sentence. The first is the teacher left the room and the students arrived. So in this scenario, we use the past perfect tense, or we can express this using the past perfect tense. Now this is the explanation, as I have said earlier. The teacher had left the classroom when the students arrived. So in this first sentence, the first action is the teacher had left, and the second action is the students arrived. So two actions were completed in the past. Another example, I had already eaten dinner when my parents came home from work. So the first action here is I had already eaten, and the second action is my parents came home. Okay. Now, the contraction form of the past perfect is in this example. So we only add apostrophe D to the subject or to the pronoun. Examples, she had or he had taken the test. So the contracted form of that is she'd or he'd taken the test. For special pronouns I and you, and for plural forms, so we have these examples. I'd, you'd, we'd, they'd taken the test. So we simply contract, or we just add apostrophe D to the subject or to the pronouns in the sentences. Now it's time for us to take the short quiz to test what we have learned from this lesson. Number 1, the students have already answered the modules. So what should be the answer? The correct verb should be have, because the subject in the sentence is the word students, is plural. So therefore, we use the verb have. So this sentence is expressed in the present perfect tense. Number 2, have everyone eaten yet? So this is a question. It's in the present perfect. So the answer should be has, because the subject in the sentence is everyone. It is singular. So the verb should be has. Number 3, James have traveled to Europe several times. So the answer is has. Again, the subject is singular, James. Number 4, I have had already opened the package when my brother arrived. So the answer is had, because this sentence is in the past perfect tense. There are two actions here. I already opened the package, and the second action is when my brother arrived. So the verb should be had. And number 5, the two best of friends haven't seen each other for quite a while. So the correct verb here is haven't. This sentence is in the present perfect tense, but the subject is two best of friends. So two, meaning it's more than one, it's plural. So we used the auxiliary verb haven't. Okay, so now it's time for a recap. Let's summarize what we have discussed in this lesson. Okay, so the present perfect tense, again, expresses a situation or an action that happened or did not happen sometime in the past and continues or is completed at the time of speaking, which is usually now. While the past perfect tense is used to express two different actions or events that happened at two different times in the past. One event was completed before the second event took place. Okay, so there you have it. I hope you have learned something from this lesson. So give it a thumbs up if you like this video and do subscribe. Okay, bye for now and see you again in the next videos. Bye bye.